My Father, as you step into this Wednesday, I declare over you, everything that fought you yesterday will not cross into today. This is a morning where heaven is open, where the fire of God is moving, where the chains you couldn't explain begin to break by the power you cannot deny. I don't know who I'm speaking to, but there is someone under the sound of my voice. Your season of constant battle ends this morning. The grace that lifts, the anointing that breaks yokes, the power that shifts atmospheres is locating you right now. This morning, the Spirit of God is stirring unusual deliverance. I hear the Lord saying, what held you is letting you go. Every covenant you didn't agree to, every pattern you didn't choose, every delay that has been resisting your destiny, it is scattering by fire. You will not walk into this day carrying yesterday's bondage. You will not step into this morning with chains around your spirit. The God of NSPPD, the God who answers by fire, is stepping into your mat. As you open your mouth today, things will begin to realign. As you pray today, altars will collapse. As you declare today, heaven will respond. Get ready, because this morning is not ordinary. The atmosphere is charged. Angels are moving. The wind of deliverance is blowing. Whatever followed you into this month ends before you step into the next hour. Whatever mocked your prayer life is about to witness your testimony. The fire of God is falling on your family, your mind, your finances, your relationships, your destiny. This morning, God says, I am pulling you out. So lift your expectation, raise your faith, and get ready. What God is about to do will shock the very things that fought you. When we declare that every hidden battle, every delay, every spiritual resistance standing against your destiny is breaking by the fire of God, we are not speaking poetry. We are not speaking empty religious words. We are speaking the language of the Spirit. There are realms of warfare that your eyes cannot see, layers of contention built over years, invisible oppositions that have tried to quietly suffocate your progress. Many times, people move through life thinking the frustration they feel is ordinary. The delay they experience is just coincidence. The resistance they sense is just bad luck. But in the spirit realm, there are structures fighting your lifting, forces monitoring your movement, altars raising accusations against your advancement. When God begins to shine his light on these hidden battles, when the fire of heaven begins to expose what is unseen, every secret opposition begins to lose its power. You may not have understood why certain doors closed right when you were closest to breakthrough, but the fire of God knows how to locate the root of every delay, the secret of every hindrance, the origin of every invisible chain. And this morning, God is saying that his fire is breaking into the places you could not reach, addressing the battles you could not articulate, dismantling the spiritual barriers you could not name. There are people who wake up each morning with a subtle heaviness they cannot explain. You look normal, you speak well, you function, but deep within you, something keeps dragging your spirit backward. This is the kind of battle that does not show itself on the surface, yet it determines your peace, your progress, your confidence, your spiritual fire. Hidden battles are battles designed to keep you confused, exhausted, and spiritually silent. These are the battles that make you feel like you're fighting shadows, like you're praying, but something is blocking your prayers. Like you're pushing forward, but an invisible force keeps pulling you 2 steps behind. When the fire of God falls, it does not negotiate with these forces. It does not consult them. It does not bargain with them. It breaks them. It consumes them. It exposes and destroys them from the root. When fire comes, even what was buried is forced to surface. Even what was hidden is forced into the open. And this morning, the fire that breaks spiritual resistance is landing upon everything that has quietly opposed your destiny. Delay is one of the enemy's most subtle weapons. It doesn't look violent. It doesn't sound threatening. It simply slows you down, shifts your timing, steals your momentum, weakens your expectation. Delay convinces you that maybe you're not ready. Maybe it wasn't meant for you. Maybe you misheard God. Delay can be more dangerous than denial because it wears down your faith while keeping you hopeful enough to keep waiting without fighting. There are destinies that have been slowed for years by cycles of delay that no one could explain. Every time you are close to breakthrough, something interrupts the process. Every time progress starts, something collapses. Every time you build, something tears it down again. But this morning, when we declare that delay is breaking by fire, we mean that whatever spiritual manipulation has tied your timing, whatever hand has been slowing your speed, whatever force has been rearranging your seasons is coming under divine judgment. You will not enter your next level too late. You will not walk into destiny after the moment has passed. You will not step into opportunities when they are already called. The fire of God restores your pace, your rhythm, your speed, your timing. Heaven is realigning your destiny clock. Many battles don't present themselves as battles. Some appear as patterns, repeated disappointments, familiar cycles of failure, situations that look new on the surface but carry the same outcome. Spiritual resistance often hides behind patterns because patterns keep you doubting yourself instead of discerning the enemy. But this morning, God's fire is breaking the cycles you grew tired of fighting. Every resistance that has followed you from childhood or early adulthood, every limitation that has lingered for years, everything that convinced you that maybe this is just how life will always be, is being confronted by the fire of deliverance. The fire of God breaks not just the pattern, but the power behind the pattern. The resistance that stood like an ancient gate before your destiny is losing its strength. The cycle that repeated itself in your family line ends with you. What your parents or grandparents could not break, the fire of God in your life will consume. This morning, God is not just breaking what is attacking you. He is breaking what has attacked generations before you. Their destinies under surveillance. There are people who are monitored spiritually, not because of something they did, but because of the greatness attached to their name, the calling placed upon their life, the assignments written on their scroll. Resistance rises against those who carry heavy destinies. The brighter your light, the more the enemy tries to cloud it. The stronger your calling, the more he tries to slow it. But this morning, the fire of God is breaking every monitoring spirit, every familiar spirit, every eye that has tried to track your progress in the spirit. You will no longer be watched by forces that intend to sabotage your lifting. Your destiny will no longer be scanned for weaknesses that the enemy can exploit. The fire of God is blinding the monitoring eyes, dismantling the networks of spiritual surveillance, collapsing the demonic systems designed to monitor your step. You are stepping into a realm where your progress is protected by fire. Hidden battles also manifest as strange resistance. Opportunities that start well and die suddenly. Relationships that crumble without reason. Financial doors that open and then slam shut overnight. Unexpected losses. unusual attacks right after moments of blessing. These are not ordinary encounters. They are signs of spiritual resistance that must be broken by fire. This morning, the fire of God is entering the rooms where decisions about your breakthrough are made. It is entering the hearts of people who must favor you. It is entering the systems that need to release you. It is entering the environments that have held you hostage. The fire of God goes where you cannot go, speaks where your voice cannot reach, confronts what your hands cannot touch. When fire fights for you, no resistance can survive. No opposition can remain intact. No stronghold can keep standing. Everything resisting your destiny begins to collapse under the weight of divine fire. There are atmospheres that carry warfare. Your home, your workplace, your environment can be influenced by spiritual forces. Hidden battles are often connected to atmospheres. But this morning, the fire of God is saturating your atmosphere. Wherever you go today, the fire of deliverance will go before you. Whatever door you step through, the fire will enter first. Whatever conversation you hold, the fire will stand beside you. Spiritual resistance cannot survive in an atmosphere filled with fire. As you move through your day, the fire will burn off negativity, break invisible heaviness, dismantle spiritual obstacles, and set a straight path before you. This morning, you are not just walking into deliverance. You are carrying deliverance with you. And that fire will continue to break every hidden battle, every delay, and every spiritual resistance standing against your destiny. When we declare that God is releasing a fresh wave of deliverance that will pull you out of every cycle, pattern, and limitation that has held you captive, we are speaking about a divine intervention that does not come gradually, cautiously, or silently. A wave does not appear as a gentle shift. A wave comes with force, with motion, with undeniable power. And when it is God releasing this wave, it carries the authority of heaven, the intensity of the Spirit, and the precision to locate every area of your life where bondage has hidden itself. Deliverance is not only about casting out oppression, it is about reordering your spiritual atmosphere, restoring your divine alignment, and repositioning you where you were meant to be before battles, delays, and cycles diverted your path. A fresh wave means God is not repeating what he did before. He's moving in a new dimension, targeting long-standing issues with a new anointing designed for this moment. There are deliverances that come gradually, but there are also deliverances that come suddenly. And in this moment, God is speaking of a sudden, sweeping deliverance that will break you out of places you thought you would never leave. Cycles are powerful because they shape your expectations. When a cycle repeats long enough, people begin to accept it as normal. Disappointment becomes familiar. Rejection becomes predictable. Struggle becomes part of everyday identity. But the truth is, cycles are spiritual systems designed to keep you contained. They make sure you move but never cross certain lines. You grow but never excel. You try but never break through. You build but never finish. Entire destinies have been trapped in cycles. Cycles of rising and falling, cycles of almost success, cycles of emotional highs followed by sudden lows, cycles of great beginnings followed by unexplained endings. But a wave of deliverance does not ask permission from the cycle. It does not negotiate with the pattern. It does not consider the history. When God releases a wave, it smashes through every boundary that once held you. It breaks the rhythm of limitations and introduces a new rhythm of grace, victory, and breakthrough. The cycle that held you does not survive the force of a divine wave. Patterns are often more dangerous than obvious battles. because patterns disguise themselves as personality, as habit, as preference, as coincidence. A person may think this is just the way my life goes, not realizing that the repetition is spiritual. Patterns form when demonic structures establish a route through which your destiny is manipulated. They ensure that even when the people around you change, the outcomes remain the same. You may enter a new relationship, but the same issues appear. You may switch jobs, but the same frustration emerges. You may move to a new city, but the same disappointments follow. Patterns prove that the problem is not physical, it is spiritual. And a fresh wave of deliverance is God declaring that every pattern that has been programmed into your destiny is being overwritten. The script the enemy kept replaying is being deleted. The outcome that always repeated is being reversed. The familiar attacks are being scattered. A new order is being written over your life, one that aligns with heaven's design, not the enemy's manipulation. Limitations are not always loud. Sometimes the most dangerous limitations are the quiet ones, the ones you feel but cannot articulate, the invisible walls that make you feel stuck, the unseen boundaries that make you feel small, the internal ceilings that make you believe you cannot rise any higher. Limitations can be spiritual, mental, emotional, generational, environmental. Some limitations come as curses spoken by others. Some come from wounds carried for years. Some come from family patterns that were never confronted. But when God releases a fresh wave of deliverance, limitations lose their authority. That wave breaks ceilings, expands territories, enlarges capacity, and destroys the internal restraints that kept you from seeing yourself the way God sees you. There are people who have lived for years within invisible prisons. Prisons of fear, insecurity, shame, doubt, procrastination, and spiritual heaviness. This wave of deliverance is breaking the walls of those prisons, releasing you into the fullness of who God designed you to be. This wave of deliverance is not only breaking what has held you, it is lifting you. Deliverance is not complete until lifting begins. God does not only remove the chains, he raises the person. He does not only shut down the dark altars, he opens new doors. He does not only silence the accusers, he amplifies the destiny of the one being delivered. There is a lifting anointing carried within this wave. It lifts your mind out of confusion. It lifts your spirit out of depression. It lifts your name out of obscurity. It lifts your voice out of silence. It lifts your destiny out of stagnation. When this wave touches you, everything about you begins to rise. It is not an emotional rise. It is a spiritual rise that manifests in every part of your life. When a person is lifted by God, no system can suppress them again. When a destiny is lifted by God, no enemy can push it down again. This deliverance is establishing new heights in your life. There is a restoration dimension to this wave. Deliverance is not only about escape, it is about recovery. You cannot be pulled out of a cycle without reclaiming the years that cycle consumed. You cannot be broken out of a pattern without receiving the opportunities the pattern stole. You cannot come out of limitation without receiving the blessings that limitation blocked. God's deliverance wave carries restoration. Restoration of time, relationships, resources, ideas, confidence, strength, and favor. There are things you lost because you were trapped in cycles. There are opportunities you missed because patterns kept repeating. There are places you never reached because limitations restricted your movement. This wave of deliverance does not leave you empty-handed. It restores what was stolen and multiplies what was withheld. There is also a repositioning taking place. A person who has been stuck in cycles cannot remain in the same environment once deliverance comes. God shifts you. He moves you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, sometimes physically. He changes your connections, your perspective, your assignments. When you are pulled out of limitation, your environment must match your new identity. Deliverance always comes with repositioning, because God will not let you return to the same settings that once empowered your bondage. This wave of deliverance is relocating your destiny to higher ground. It is placing you in spaces where you can grow freely, thrive boldly, and move unhindered. One of the greatest signs of a fresh deliverance wave is clarity. Cycles create confusion. Patterns blur understanding. Limitations choke vision. But when deliverance comes, your mind clears. You begin to see what you could not see. You begin to understand what you could not grasp. You begin to discern what you once ignored. Decisions become easier. Discernment becomes sharp. Direction becomes clearer. Clarity is a gift of deliverance. And this wave is releasing clarity over your life. Things that confused you will make sense. Things that scared you will lose their power. Things that overwhelmed you will no longer intimidate you. God is clearing the fog. A wave of deliverance also releases freedom in the deepest parts of your identity. Many people walk through life carrying parts of themselves that have been tied down, tied by trauma, by failure, by shame, by fear, by disappointment. Those tied parts create inner fragmentation that weakens destiny. But when God releases a fresh wave of deliverance, He does not just free your circumstances, He frees your identity. You begin to feel whole again. You begin to feel bold again. You begin to feel alive again. The pieces of you that were scattered begin to come together. The version of you that God intended begins to emerge. You are not just coming out, you are becoming. This wave is also breaking the influence of every voice that has spoken limitation over you. Words carry power. Words spoken of your childhood, words spoken by people you trusted, words spoken in anger, words spoken in ignorance, words spoken by the enemy through discouragement and fear. Some of those words created spiritual laws that governed your life without your awareness. But the wave of deliverance breaks those laws. It silences the voices. It cancels the decrees. It uproots the negative words planted in your spirit. God is rewriting your narrative. And finally, this wave of deliverance is preparing you for acceleration. Deliverance is not the finish line. It is the starting point for a new season. When chains break, speed returns. When cycles end, progress begins. When patterns crumble, open doors appear. When limitations fall, new levels unfold. God is not only pulling you out, He is launching you forward. What took years will take months. What took months will take weeks. What took weeks will take days. The momentum of heaven is about to carry you into a season of unstoppable progress, supernatural breakthroughs, and undeniable testimonies. This wave of deliverance is your transition into a new dimension of victory, purpose, and destiny fulfillment for